Welcome to Mindful Conversations. My name is Greg Dwyer. My guest today is Stewart Wilson. He's a visionary artist. Stewart, thanks for being on the broadcast.
Thank you, Greg, for having me.
So what is a visionary artist? I mean, what are you doing that's different than anybody that just paints something on the wall?
I don't know if it's that much different. It's
Okay.
just that for me, I'm not mindfully trying to construct something. I'm more or less letting my intuitive powers sort of open up, channel in, and go with it. You know?
Well, I like that. Don't you think if more people just did that and tapped into the intuition, they'd be able to create something better?
Well, as a former art teacher, I tried to instill that feeling to my students, many of whom didn't even feel like they were artists. I said, well, you don't forget about the artist title. Just let whoever you are inside come out.
Okay.
You know, just give yourself time to not let your head tell you what to do, because your head's going to tell you what you've seen other people do, and it's not going to be you.
And you're either in the past or the future. You're trying to impress somebody with the future,
exactly.
or you're tied to some kind of failure in the past. I do this lecture called Mind Your Business, and one of the things I say is you have to tap into your subconscious.
Yeah.
You have to tap into something that is not here.
Exactly.
It's here.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved with this?
Well, you know, I came to New York City to be an artist, and then the beauty of New York City is at some point it slaps you to the pavement,
right?
Which is you know, hard, but if you get up again, and for me, getting up was to sort of reject my previous ideas of what an artist is and what I had to do, which was really part of being in my head and being cut away from my body. You know, it's like people say there's a little cut off on your neck and you're just all in your head. So I came back and I just felt like I'd painted myself out of the room.
What year was this?
This is 1979.
Okay, gotcha.
I was getting kicked out of my loft space in Tribeca, you know, with other people, and I just had to redefine myself. And I had this urge, you know, and I had an urge, this like vision of making these little wrap figures, like the one I'm wearing.
The one you're wearing there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, okay, so it was like a physical meditation with wire and a little bit of fabric and scraps of this and that, and it felt good and it felt right. And I didn't know what I was doing and why I was doing it, and some of my artist friends thought I was going a little bonkers because, you know, you're making art, you're not making little dolls. So I made a few, and I showed them to some friends, and they said, hey, these are kind of cool. And I said, you know, I'd like to have one. So people said they wanted one. I went to some New York City stores I'd always admired, and for some crazy reason, they loved them. And they said, oh, we want a dozen of these. And somebody else, Patricia Field downtown, they said, oh, we want more. And so I started making them, and I didn't know how many I needed to make. I just said, okay, I'll make some more. I'll make some more. And then I said, oh, I could do these trade shows and get stores from around the country to make some more. And then my wife was in London, and she was at a dinner, and the guy was like looking at her Persona pen from across the dinner table and said, where'd you get that? And he said, oh, my husband makes them. And she gave him a card, and it turned out he was the buyer for Neiman Marcus catalog, and he'd been traveling the world looking for wonderful things to put in their catalog, and so I had to make them, thousands of them.
But how do you do that? You're not farming them out to a foreign country, right? You're doing these yourself.
Well, it's, you know, it's one at a time, and and you don't think about it. You just say, okay. They gave me plenty of time to make them because they wanted them to be special. Because at first they said, oh yeah, we want 3 like this and 2 like that, and I said, no. I don't do that. That's work.
What do you mean that's work?
That means
this is joy.
Well, you know, if you're going to make something that you've done before, you're not going anywhere. If you're, it's like a journey. If you're going to walk in a circle, that's work.
It is work,
You know, if you're going to say, hey, why don't you go over there and see what there is to see there? You've never been there before. It's
exciting.
That's process. That's life.
That's an adventure.
That's adventure.
Right.
So, you know, I've made over 31,000 of them.
How do you know that?
Because early on, you know, the funny thing, and we're getting into this personas, is that this really cool shop in New York City called Fiorucci, Italian design shop in the 70s, they were the best.
Okay.
And so they wanted a dozen of them. So I made a dozen. I was so excited.
Right.
I gave them the dozen. I went to see them in this shop, and they were in this case, and they were lying down like they were dead. I said, oh no, that's not good.
Right.
They're not dead, they're alive. So I said, from now on, I'm going to put them in a box so they stand up.
Right.
And then I said, if I'm going to put them in a box, I should put a picture of them in there.
Right.
And then I said, well, if I'm going to make a picture using a color Xerox machine, I'd put them right on the machine, and I would take some cotton and I would make a copy. I said, well, why don't I make more than one copy? And then I can sign one copy, cut it up, and the other one I'll keep.
Right.
So I actually gave everyone a number. So I started numbering them, starting with number 25.
Okay, gotcha.
You know,
So
so actually, the first 24 don't have a number. And then I just kept on making them and kept on making them. And then people said, do you make any horses? I said, well, no, but I guess I could make one. And
did you make horses too?
yeah, I made animals of all sorts. Cats, dogs,
but
angels, devils.
How do you go from this that somebody would wear on their lapel to virtual reality?
Okay,
Which is a whole different platform.
Okay,
right?
good question, Greg, because as I was making them, they were making me.
I bet.
They were really like, they were about a lot of things that I didn't think I was about, like, artists think that every piece is precious and they tend to want to hold on to it. And I couldn't do that with the personas.
You just wanted to give them away.
I had to let go of them. That was part of the whole process. You had to make them, let go of them. My concession was I made a picture, and that's why I knew how many.
And then you kept it.
I kept the picture.
Right,
That's all I got to keep.
Right.
So if you want to see them all, I have them all. But part of it too was they were really about connecting with your gut.
Right.
And I put in the back of the box a little message that they were rapt representatives from another dimension, here for peaceful purposes.
Ah, like an angel or a messenger.
Yeah, like a thing that so you could wear this and it would be your and I put my address, and I would get letters from people telling me about their piece and how they took it out and how happy they made. There was like little stories.
So let me ask you this. I don't know if you still make these, but if you made this for me, would you think about my character, my traits? Would you commission it with my thinking or who I am, or would you just create something and say, hey, do you like it? I mean, what do you do? What's the process?
Well, usually when I made them, I just sort of sat down at a table with tons of material.
And you just did it?
And just made them. I said, you're going to sit here for so many hours. You're going to make as many pieces as happens that day.
So you didn't think about the person you were making it for?
No, or that store, or that museum or whatever. I just made them.
So were you
let them happen.
Were you like in a trance when you were doing
this? Yeah, I think so. I think ultimately I would just sort of, and because I didn't know how they would turn out.
Right.
And that's another part of the process. A lot of times people don't want to start something unless they know exactly where they're going to end up.
Well, in business or anything, you have to face the unknown.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you take something and you create art.
Yeah.
And you ship it and you don't know if it's going to sell.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, not only you need to embrace the unknown. You need to sort of take it to the other point and say, I love the unknown. I love to put myself in a position where I don't know where I'm going, but it'll be okay. It's a process, and I'm doing that now all the time.
When did you come to that thinking? Because I think most people want to play it safe. Do you know what I mean?
I think again, making these personas has sort of gotten me to let go and sort of let it happen. Don't worry about messing up. There's no messing up here. There's no perfection.
There's no failure.
There's no perfection. It is what it is, and it's almost kind of like the way I look at art now is great. You've made that piece. It's a stepping stone to your next piece.
Right.
Don't get hung up on standing on that stone and going, how great it is here, and spend a year admiring yourself in this spot instead of going down and seeing where there'd be. Even though it's scary.
That's a waste of time just to think about some great thing that happened. You know what I mean? And then just get stuck.
Yeah, you just have to be a little courageous and just see where it takes you. And this whole project, this Persona Land project, is I don't know where I'm going with it.
Okay.
I just had this vision. Talk about vision.
Yeah.
I had this vision that I should now through the personas, make them come alive, whatever that
in the
is.
internet, in
the internet.
Okay.
All of a sudden I realized I've run 2 nonprofit art centers,
Okay.
which has been sort of what the personas are about too. They're about community, they're about engagement, they're about sharing. So they've sort of made it possible for me to create 2 entities, one in New York City, one in Northwest Connecticut,
Okay.
that actually provided opportunities for thousands of artists to share their talents and themselves and that whole energy. So they've always been about that. And so it seems very appropriate that at the second entity, Artwell in Torrington, there was a young man showing off his talents at a game design. He was a 3D game designer.
Okay.
And we got to talking, and for some reason, we just hit it off, and he said, come see what I do and how I do it. And he showed me the computer and how he built these figures and stuff, and all of a sudden, light bulb went out.
This could come alive.
Exactly.
This could
why
be alive.
don't I take the object, turn it into a digital object, give it a bone structure, which they call rigging.
Right.
And then I had to go out as part of the process and go to a lot of conferences in New York and meetups and whatever.
Yeah.
And I met somebody who said, oh, come to NYU, I've got blah, 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 I'll introduce you. And the next thing I know, I got into their motion capture studio, and I got to put on the suit,
No
the
way.
dots, and
the
the
dots.
thing, and the
Yeah.
gloves, and the shoes, and I was like doing all these motions, and now the personas are actually my motion. When they dance, it's me dancing, which is so
Wow.
wild because, I always said, oh, I'm the persona man, but they are there, and they're kind of amazing, and me, I'm just me, but now I'm actually being put inside them in a way.
Right.
I'm sort of having to interact with them in a way, as well as see new potential. Because I think 21st century is just such a trippy place. If you think about it, think about the idea that anything you could imagine, Greg, you could actually have happen on that screen.
Right.
It's really no limitation at all.
Well, let's talk about this concept of imagination, because I was just reading a book the other day about imagination, and the author was saying a lot of times when we face an obstacle or a problem, we have the resources,
Yeah.
but we think that we don't. And the best way to get through that door is through imagination.
Exactly.
Imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Was that Einstein that said that? I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to Google it.
I'd give it to him.
Okay.
I think that's
or
great.
did you say that?
No,
I mean,
I didn't
someone
say that.
smarter than me said that. But it's this idea that imagination can take you places that just this can't take you.
Yeah, well, and I think also you have to realize that sometimes what you think is a limiting. Once you say, oh, this
It's not
is
true, is it?
Yeah. Once you sort of create a box, then
Right.
you've got yourself lost because you've eliminated all the other potentials that
Right.
are outside that box.
Right.
And so often somebody like Einstein or Da Vinci and stuff, they would just say, oh yeah, well that's what you think, but what if? Right. And I think Einstein was really great with his what ifs. He would
Right.
sort of make these mind games where he would imagine himself on a train in space and things
Right.
like that. So
It's the imagination.
exactly.
It's the imagination, and I think when we're little kids, we have it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
we're
we do.
artists.
Yeah.
But then we grow up and we're like, we need to draw in the box, and no, we can't do that, right?
Yeah,
And then we're limited.
Yeah. No, you're not. I'm an artist, or you're an artist. I'm not an artist.
You're
I
an
can't
engineer.
sing.
Yeah.
You can't dance. But you look at kids; they can sing, dance, make art. They can do everything.
Wow.
They've got it.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just give it up.
Yeah.
They just, unfortunately, somebody told them they couldn't.
Right.
And so they let
they
that.
believed it.
That controller tells them they can't do it. But for us, we
I
can
never
do
grew
anything.
up.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
I'm a 4-year-old.
Are you
I
really?
admit it. I admit it. If you see some 4-year-olds come by, they will see my 4-year-old and we'll be like getting
really?
down into playing.
So
Really.
how do people get on this website? What's
Okay.
the domain name? How do they?
It's called personaland.com.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right.
And it has art shows. We've shown at present 170 artists from 29 countries. We have a show coming up called Peace, which is open for everyone to be in it. All you have to do is send us your image or your film or your music or your poem about what peace means to you.
Okay.
And if you go to the site, there's a submit area that you can just, and it's no charge.
You don't charge people for
No,
this?
no.
To me, when I first heard this story, I thought to myself, how come you're not monetizing this? How come you're not charging 99 cents?
It doesn't feel right. I think it's gonna. I think we'll get the money somehow to keep it going. And also, to me, it's a vision. And if you have a vision, you've got to follow the vision. It's not about money. It's about a mission that you need to accomplish. I've been very fortunate. The people I'm working with are very talented, but not charging me market rate at all.
I got to tell you, people who do videos, people who do the graphics, I mean, it's expensive procedure. It's not cheap.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. So
but I've lucked out. I've found a couple people who really love the idea, the mission,
So you sold them
project.
on the idea, and they bought into it.
They bought into it.
Yeah.
They were also, taking that process of going and trying to do something that we haven't done before. So I talked about the art shows. The show up now, it's called Community. We have that's 53 artists from 13 countries.
Wow.
It's up now. You can see it, and you can also archive to see the previous 3 global group shows, as well as 12 individual art shows. We also, and again, part of Personaland that's fun is that instead of just clicking on here and then going to see the art show, you could actually go to the main Welcome Center, what we call the Welcome Center, and you can have a horse or dragon take you there.
Really?
So it's kind of like a little entertainment, mixing entertainment, enchantment with culture.
And nobody else has done this. Like,
I haven't seen anybody do it, but they should be doing it. Why not? You know?
Collaborate with you mean?
Yeah, or do their own thing.
Okay.
That'd be great. We can have a whole world of that kind of energy, which I think is a great thing. Internet's a great medium. We need to sort of get rid of the distraction and the monetization and stuff, and have things that are really about people coming together, community, sharing, kindness. I actually had somebody who said, what your business model is? And I said, no. He said, it's kindness.
He said that to you?
He said, it's kindness.
I was
so touched.
What a great compliment.
I know, I love it.
And who said it? Somebody that knew you close? Or
Actually, somebody I'd met at one of the conferences who was very big at this. There's a big software company called Autodesk.
Okay.
So if you see any 3D video games, they were made with Autodesk products. It's almost kind of like the Google of game design.
I see, okay.
But he was like vice president of whatever. But he and I just met, and he said, I'll be your mentor because I really like what you're doing.
Really?
I know you need some skills in business. I'm not a business guy. I practice. So anyway, that's what he had.
So
to
you
say.
Found other people that can help you, and that's the key. You don't have to be everything, right?
And that's another kind of, I think, beauty of the 21st century is you don't need to. And in fact, for me, not to be a lone person actually enhances the work.
I don't think
it lets
you can
me go of my ego and say, oh, this isn't my thing. You can compliment me on maybe some of it, but other people have touched it, and that would be, the more people touching it, the greater. In fact, that's why I've invited artists, almost 170 artists from around the world to be part of it. We have artists from every continent but Antarctica.
Why? Why you barred them out of it? Why? What?
I don't know the. I'm just saying that because I noticed. We have Australia, and we have India.
So
we
if anybody's watching from
every
there,
country, we have New Zealand. We have Africa. We have artists from all over the place, which is part of the beauty of digital world because anybody anywhere around the world can participate. I just wanted to also add that not only can you look at art shows, but you can take the what we call the fountain tour, where we have dancing flowers, which kids would love that. That's kind of cute. Different kinds of music. They dance. You can actually toss a virtual coin into the fountain and get a fortune. You can play, go to the bazaar or game bazaar where there's art games. You can play those. And then coming soon, we'll open up the stage area where we're going to be really doing performances. Okay. So artists who want to show off their performance talents will soon have a venue for that. Okay. We're doing I think I told you, a mini-series movie, 11-episode movie called Fugitive. Wow. Which is really going to be using the characters of Personaland plus a new one that's not there yet, but will be showing up as part of the story. Right. And they will be kind of telling a story that I think has some real social impact and be kind of really kind of cool. It's something I've never done before. I'm a little scared, but I'm doing it.
Where do you find the time to do all this? This is a lot of.
It is.
It's a lot. I guess working with other people and having other people involved with it is the leverage.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm all in on it.
I can see. So I know. Like you're in.
Why not? You know, I kind of, you get to a certain age, maybe. I don't know if it's the age, but it's definitely the feeling that. Why not? Let's do it today. Today's all I have.
Well, here's the thing. I was just picking up one of my books, and it was called Grit, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at this chart. It said, no offense if you're in your 20s or 30s, but it said in your 20s and 30s, grit is this idea that you're going to have perseverance, right? And then the chart goes like this. Once you hit 45, 50, 55, 60, your level of grit or your level of perseverance on a project like this is really strong. Like you're all in.
I'm all in.
Yeah, I get it.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
It's
not like you're 25 and you're looking here, looking there, you're looking at 25 different things.
Exactly.
You're focused on this one thing.
Yeah.
So what's the next stage for this?
Well, I don't know. That's the whole beauty of it.
That's the adventure.
But there's, we're hoping to open up different venues in Persona Land for different kind of activities.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, in the next month or so, we'll be opening up the performance part of it. We've opened the exhibition part of it. We've opened the kind of game part of it.
Well, what's the performance piece? You mean somebody that sings, someone that dances?
Yeah. So people will be sending in, like we're going to be doing a sing-along thing where people can send in an MP3, which is a music file of them singing, and then we'll transfer it to one of our characters so they can see themselves singing as one of our persona characters. And then we'll have a stage and people can come and hear all the different singers and stuff. They'll get their name broadcast. And
so can I do motivational speaking and you can turn me into a big bear?
I could.
All right.
I mean, that potential's there. And I'm thinking further down of maybe having a thing called the soapbox where people can actually come up and give their 2 cents. But that's we're one step at a time.
Okay.
But but we're going to do first singing and maybe guitar playing. When the people who want to put in a tune will have our personas sort of carrying instruments and playing.
Wow. This is what I get from you is you create this I want to call it a doll, but it's not a doll. What would you call it? Persona.
Yeah.
So, but it's tied to your personality, and business and character are married in your business. And I think it's the same thing with anybody that does anything. I think people do business with people that they like, and most of all, if their values are in line with them. Like all these people that you met, they're helping you because you're a kind person. Don't you think?
Well, I'm extending myself out, and maybe I can just give the persona's character. They've given me the courage, and they're saying, don't be. Don't hold yourself in. Let yourself out.
Right. Right. Express yourself.
And maybe Zen would say, you are actually not just this shell, but everything that you want to extend yourself out and include and be part of. And and it only enhances you. It's like. Maybe that's part of getting older. When you're like 20 or 30, then a television station will come in and you want to get your face in the TV set and you want to put your name in there. And then after a while, you say, that's not really the important thing. I know with Artwell later on, when we did get some coverage, I wanted to say, oh, this person really needs the recognition. I don't need it anymore.
Sure.
I'd rather just sit back and be happy about the fact that we're doing this thing and a lot. And when we got publicity like tonight, my feeling is it's not about me. It's about, a lot of people might find out about it. They might appreciate it. They may join the community. We call it a global village, a global arts village, online global arts village. So we're kind of creating a village of like minds. If you want to go somewhere where you're respected and where you want to be kind, you want to share your talents, this is a place we're trying to create that is safe and like a sanctuary.
So give the website. We got 30 seconds. How do they get a hold of this? 30 seconds.
So personaland.com. So www.personaland.com.
Excellent.
And go and enjoy. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody who wants to come and do it.
Stewart, thank you so much. Stewart Wilson. We hope we gave you something to think about. If you have an artist within you, express it, right?
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you next time. Mind yourself on Mindful Conversations. Stewart, thank you so much. This was